Block 2014 states that coming to know one's place in the world is a complex and multidimensional phenomenon fraught with confusion, and for LGBTQ+ students, becoming a self and establishing identity is especially challenging. This challenge of coming to know one's place in the world is challenging for all, but for my friend, who is our case study for this short video, has experienced these challenges deeply. Although his sexual identity is gay, his authentic self is one of many things, but what this case study focuses on is feminine masculinity, or perhaps the gender spectrum, or gender diverse. Over the past decade, there is greater social acceptability, even encouragement for feminine aspects and gender diversity acceptance to have a place in dominant patriarchal society, especially through the Me Too movement and the rise of transgender rights, and even through, albeit tortuously, the political discourse around the religious discrimination bill. But on the societal level, there are still relatively firm lines drawn between what is allowable behaviour for a man or boy and what is not, pegged to 2019. Jones et al. 2016 states that students who are gender diverse can experience discrimination as a result of their gender presentation and therefore become a greater target for discrimination and harassment due to their visibility. My friend's love for clothes, masculine and feminine, and across all types of dress, has seen him ostracised, belittled, and physically attacked. This was never more evident than when my friend and I attended a music festival, the Meredith Music Festival. This festival is renowned for celebrating diversity and acceptance with a strong and often stated no dickheads policy. On one occasion, my friend and I went to the bathroom, and a passerby who happened to be wearing typical masculine clothing made a passing comment directed at my friend. "Shouldn't you be using the female bathroom?" I recall this memory vividly, knowing what he would respond with, "Just having a joke, mate." This response is grounded in how Kennedy and Russell describe hegemonic and toxic masculinity as values, enactments of toughness, emotional stoicism, and aggression, while femininity and alternative masculine performance are devalued. My friend was wearing a skirt and applied makeup, the implied dress of the feminine. He was incensed, as I was, that of all places where diversity and difference is celebrated, he was made to feel less. White, Wynne, and Robards define gender as a term for the social understandings of social and sexual identities that go well beyond biological understandings of male and female. It involves both the formation of sexual identities and the development of identities as relates to culture, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, class, geography, and disability, not a discussion around gingerbread. My friend describes the lived experience of White, Wynne, and Robards' gender definition as, "When I think about my journey as a youth from being closeted from internalized self-hatred based off of homophobia that I had been taught, from hating the feminine part of myself, which I suppressed because it was not socially acceptable, I wonder how it is that anyone can ever question other people's experiences of the world as I learn to about my own, or even worse, take steps to invalidate it. I only know my experience, that is it, as we all only can." This is what the Religious Discrimination Bill does not consider. Whatever is in the bill, it will, directly or indirectly, maintain the status quo, and people like my friend will continue to be marginalised instead of being included. And this is true for the political and mainstream media football that is gendered bathrooms. This short clip of actress Nicole Main on The Ellen Show explains, in subtitles, her experience of coming to terms with her gender. Nicole Main won a major court case while still in high school. Her family successfully sued her school district for the right to use a female restroom. This was the first court case in the United States to rule that a school district could not prevent a student from using the restroom that matches his or her gender identity rather than their physical sex. So what do we do as teachers to foster inclusion at the school? Well, it's best to identify and understand culture as it reflects the wider social culture that continues to evolve. Goodenough define cultural awareness as being cognizant, observant, and conscious of similarities and differences among and between cultural groups. I would go further and ask what culture does the feminine boy or the trans spectrum belong to, especially in the context of this case study. Simply, our culture is the human culture. My aim as a teacher is to disrupt rather than reproduce hegemonic masculinity or a culture of doubt or apathy by intentionally demonstrating diversity and performances of gender in curriculum and in general conversation in whichever workplace. Gray, 2016. So what transpired after our confrontation at Meredith? Well, there were words of comfort, tears, and deep conversation about his right and anyone's right to express themselves without inflicting emotional and physical torment on others. Ultimately, what my friend was presenting was himself, his authentic self, as he was having a human experience. So, at the end of the day, no matter what category or place or whatever spectrum, inclusion and understanding is needed. Even if we can't look as fabulous and fantastic as Harry Styles, we can all be super gingerbread people. Block 2014.